Tony B 2760 watched this video and commented, "Show how you would use the radial elliptical tool in PhotoLab like the one would use in Lightroom." Oh yeah, that doesn't exist in PhotoLab, and that is a stupid omission. And no, the control points do not offer the same control. I have tried that. Challenge accepted. I don't know about you, but that looks like an elliptical mask to me that's been inverted. I'm going to create a new mask, a control point. And my first control point is just going to be over here on the left hand side. And the next one, and notice I'm clicking inside the previous control point boundary. And also notice that all the control points are joining up as one long mask. Just had a little one in the end there. Now what you can also do, which gives you a lot more control, is alter the size of the mask and reposition it. So if you don't get it right first time, it's very easy to rectify that. I'm going to create this sort of almost a flat U shape in the mask. You can't do that in Lightroom. Now you'll notice that I've inverted the mask and also that the ponies are also selected. By adjusting the chroma and lunar both to 0, I get rid of those selections and we're left with a vignette. Well, that was all very straightforward, wasn't it? Nothing difficult about creating elliptical masks in PhotoLab 9. Now in this video I'm taking 3 more images and I'm going to demonstrate the choices I made and how I masked different parts of those images. I'm going to be using AI masks, I'm going to be using control lines, control points and luminosity masks. But first, there is something that you really must understand before you tackle masking in PhotoLab 9. And that's something which I call mask hierarchy. You see, there are masks and there are submasks. And masks in PhotoLab 9 can be made up of submasks. And you can think of it a little bit like the building blocks of a mask. So we can use different tools in those submasks to actually create the overall mask that we want. Let me show you what I mean. This of course happens in the local adjustment section. Here I can create a mask, and if you double click the name, of course you can give it a proper name. Very useful, especially if your memory is like mine. And under that mask we can have submasks. So you click this button here and you can have as many submasks as you need to create the mask. Masks can become quite complicated, of course. So here we have a mask covering the sea, and if you hover over the name you can see the entire mask, and if you hover over each symbol of the submask you can see what that submask is doing. Of course you can't actually see the inversion, but nevertheless you can see where that particular submask is located. Well, if you have in mind in future that all masks are made up of submasks, you won't go far wrong. It's all very straightforward. Right, let's have a look at our first image before we get on to the other two. And in this image, we're going to be talking about luminosity masking and the adjustments that can be made. And this section of the video was actually prompted by one of the viewers, MST Photo 99. Who says, "I still use LR and PS as I like the TK9 panels for editing. I really don't grudge the Adobe subscription, so I'm not sure if I'll ever ditch it." Well, here follows perhaps a reason why you might. As you would expect, luminosity masks are very easy to apply. We'll just select a mask, a luminosity, Select an area that we want to pick, and you'll notice that it's automatically created a submask for us. And down here we can adjust the extent of that luminosity mask to include what we need to include. We can also adjust the feathering. Just going to include the higher lights as well. And let's make an adjustment to the white balance just to warm up those sun's rays. Then we can switch off the mask to see where we were and switch it back on to see where we are. So there's plenty of adjustment with luminosity masks, isn't there? Now, before I get into the isolating tree mask, which a lot of people have asked, how did I do that? Let's focus on the next and third image, which is quite complicated actually. What I'm trying to do here is select the sea. Sounds simple, but it actually took a little bit of thinking and a little bit of effort. Easy to do in the end. Let's have a look. Well, this image presented me with a couple of big problems. I needed to use 4 submasks to create this mask. The first problem is this area here. I'd like to keep those ships on the horizon, just like this. And in fact, when you zoom in, you can see this particular AI mask for the sky is really crisp and sharp. This is due to the difference in tone between the sky and the sea and the headland. So that's all pretty straightforward. However, my biggest problem is going to be this area over here on the right. Here the tonality is very similar, and I fear this is going to create an issue that I'm going to have to resolve. And when I apply a mask to the sea, you can see that issue. Brenda recently commented, I downloaded the trial, but I'm not able to get masking to work. That is, can't find the options for AI sky, background, objects, etc. I have Googled, but on Windows 11, it's just not showing up. Any suggestions appreciated. Okay, let's get started. First thing to do is to create a mask, and I'm going to create a luminosity submask. And I'm just going to drop my pointer here and adjust that mask. So basically I include everything except the rocks. Just need to ease that a little bit so I include some of the darker areas. The next thing to do is to create another submask. And this time I'm going to use AI to help me. By selecting the sky option. And I'm going to invert to shape. That gives a nice crisp finish to that mask. Right, the next submask is going to be a control line. Remember that fuzzy bit on those tonal areas? I need to sharpen that up, and I'm going to do this with a control line with hardly any diffusion. I'm going to maximize to 100% so I can do this accurately. Click and drag that control line down to the horizon to create a nice crisp edge and invert to shape. Now that's got rid of the tonality problem that we had with the previous attempt. And finally, I'm going to create another submask using a brush, which I'm going to invert by holding the Alt key, or I think it's perhaps an Option key, is it on the Mac? And just drag this brush right across the rocks, getting rid of any potential sections of the mask that I don't want to include. There we go, just the last few little bits to get rid of. That's done. And here is our mask. Let's switch it off. Oh, before we do that, let's make an adjustment to exposure. You can see the sea deepening a little bit in color. Add a little bit of micro contrast. Right, let's go back to switch off the mask so we can see the difference. On, off. Now that probably, and I hope, demonstrated how versatile masking is in PhotoLab 9. Now I'm about to get on to my final image, which was that tree which I shot on the New Forest a few weeks ago. Now, although these masks look a little bit complicated and do need a little bit of thought, you can actually achieve some amazing results, some very accurate results. And with that last image, I certainly achieved my goal of making sure I got rid of that bleed from the sea into the headland. Okay, now for our final image, and this is probably one of the simplest and easiest things to do, and like everything, once you know how to do it, boy, it is easy. Let's have a look. Okay, several people requested this one, and RS Scott NH said, I wish you explained how you adjusted your luminosity mask for the tree. So here we go. So here's what I ended up with. In this section, I'm just going to show you how to mask the tree itself. So let's create a new mask. And I'm going to start with an AI object mask. And just click and drag over the tree. All very simple and straightforward. And it does a pretty good job. Except, of course, that there are bits amongst the branches where the sky is showing through. So let's select a luminosity mask, click on a gap between the branches, click invert to shape, and you'll see it's done a pretty good job, except over on the right hand side here. And all I have to do is adjust the mask itself just to bring in those darker sections. How about that? Very accurate indeed. Now that was all very straightforward, wasn't it? Don't let anybody tell you that masking in PhotoLab 9 is inaccurate. You have so many tools at your disposal to achieve the results that you want to achieve. Now, if you have any questions about masking in PhotoLab 9, drop them in a comment below, and I'll do my best to either answer them or perhaps we'll include them in another video. Now, of course, I've aimed this video particularly at people who are already using DxO PhotoLab 9, but are having a little problem maybe with their masking. But of course, you may have come across this video and you haven't heard of PhotoLab 9 before, or if you have, you've never even tried it. So there is a link in the description below so you can download a 30-day free trial of PhotoLab 9 and of course any of the other DxO products, except Pure Raw 6, I think, which is just a 14-day trial. Anyway, you download the trial, you use it for free, you work out if it's actually going to be the software for you, and if it is, use my exclusive discount code of TOPG 15, and that'll guarantee a 15% discount off your first purchase. Brilliant. That's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.